In this video, we're going to go over some slightly more involved addition and subtraction of rational expression problems. Let's check them out. So our instructions say to simplify and state any restrictions. The number one thing here is that you look at those denominators, and I hope the first thing you think is, I could factor those. And if it's not the first thing that you're thinking, now hopefully it is. So we'll factor out the denominators, and I actually think that these, even though they're more involved, are a little easier to find what the common denominators are, and I'll show you why in a second. So first things first, I'm going to factor out everything. I'm going to do it right underneath each of the corresponding denominators. So I've got factors of 21 that combine to give us 4. Well, 7 and 3 would do that. To give us -4, you'd need -7 and +3, right? So I've got x minus 7 and x plus 3 right there. The factor here, we've got a GCF of x times x plus 3. Oh, very sweet. So now, those are our denominators of our current pieces right here. Nothing divides down. So I look at this and I think, what factors does this have that this one doesn't? Or, in other words, well, maybe we should look at it this way. What does this not have that this one does? Well, it has an x plus 3, so we don't need to multiply by that, but it does not have a factor of x. So I need to multiply both the denominator and the numerator by x. So remember, this is now my denominator, this is now my denominator. So I multiply top and bottom by x over x. Great. So that's going to leave me with 6x squared as my numerator, and we'll see what the common denominator is in a second. So I've got this to be 6x squared. Now here, what does this not have that this does? It has an x and an x plus 3, but not an x minus 7. So I'll multiply top and bottom by x minus 7. So now they have the same exact factors. So my common denominator will be x times x minus 7 times x plus 3. Beautiful, not bad. And we multiply this out, 4 times x and 4 times -7. So that would be plus 4x minus 28. Remembering, we're really distributing 4 by the grouping of x minus 7. Now all we have left to do is combine like terms. And well, there are no like terms to combine, so we're actually done at that point. You could see if it factors out and see if things cancel down. You can certainly do that. I'm going to leave it here, and I'm going to tell you, I don't think much really factors down there. I could be wrong, but we're going to leave it here at this point just so that you get the basics down. So we need our restrictions. That's anything that makes the denominator 0. X does not equal 0. Don't forget, it could equal 0, and that would give a denominator 0. X can't equal 7, because 7 minus 7 is 0. And x can't equal -3, because that would give us 0. There you have it. So you're factoring everything out and asking yourself the question, self, what factors does this have that this doesn't? And what factors does this have that that doesn't? And you're making sure that they end up with the same factors, and of course multiplying the numerator by that same number that you multiplied the denominator by to keep the fractions equal. All right, how about one more just to get it down really well? Okay, so again, we're going to factor everything out, and this one, what I'll do is, I'm going to erase this here, give us a little more room. I'm going to drop down an additional whole step here, just kind of show you a little additional work. So let's factor out everything. So numbers that multiply to 27 that combine to give us 12 would be 3 and 9. So that'd be -3 minus 9, because they'll add to give us -12, multiply to give us 27, minus 3. So all I'm doing is factoring the denominators here, peeps. We get x and x, and then numbers that multiply to 45 that combine to give us -4, -9, and plus 5. All right. So now what we need is a common denominator. So that's where I put everything over that common denominator, and we'll combine like terms once we get down to that step. First things first. What does this have that this one doesn't? Well, they both have an x minus 9 factor, so we're good there. But this has an x plus 5 and that doesn't. So that would give us, on this denominator here, what that one has, and this one did not. Cool. All right. Now, what does this have that that doesn't? Well, it's got an x minus 3 and that doesn't, so we'll multiply top and bottom here by x minus 3. Beautiful. Awesome. So now I just need to multiply through here and here, and remember that we have a common denominator. Our common denominator is x plus 5 times x minus 3 times x minus 9. By using my questioning technique, you will end up with a common denominator in both every time. what factors does one have that the other one doesn't, and vice versa, and then make it so they have the same lowest common denominator. Okay, so we've got x plus 5 times x minus 2. I'm going to do that one out. We're going to multiply. X times x is x squared, doing a little foiling here. X times minus 2x, or minus 2 is minus 2x. 5 times x is 5x, the inner. And then the last, 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. Beautiful. Now be careful this minus. You are subtracting 3. It might be easier to think of it as plus and negative 3. And now distribute negative 3 to each of these two terms. Negative 3 times x is minus 3x. Negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. Again, we got common denominators, which is why I'm putting all of the numerators over that common denominator. Because when you add or subtract fractions, you just combine numerators over that same denominator. We're almost done. So now I'm going to combine like terms. I have x squared and no other x squared term. That's done. Negative 2x and 5x is 3x. Minus 3x, ooh, that's 0. So no x term. Negative 10 plus 9 is minus 1. Beautiful. And then you get x plus 5, x minus 3, x minus 9. And your teacher might have you multiply that out, or he or she may not. It is up to them. But I'm going to say let's leave it. Now, I noticed that the numerator factors into x minus 1 and x plus 1. So that's a good thing to just notice. But also notice that neither of these factors divide out with those, so we are in simplest form. Now remember, you need your restrictions. X cannot equal anything that makes the denominator 0. That would be negative 5, positive 3, and positive 9. Voila! There you have it. We've got ourselves how to add and subtract some pretty involved rational expressions.